Right, up in Morecambe with Andy Lee. Andy, firstly, congratulations, newborn baby, as was made very clear at the press conference.
Yeah.
All going good?
Going well, thank God. Yeah, a little boy, Walter Lee.
Walter Lee.
Walter,
good name.
Walter Phoenix Lee.
Oh, good name. That's a strong name.
Worth postponing any fight.
There's been a lot of talk about how Joe Parker is miles and miles away from home in New Zealand. You're away from home too, right? You don't live in Morecambe. Where do you live?
Dublin.
So you're a Dublin man. You've got a newborn baby. You're away from home as well. It must be difficult for both of you going through this camp.
It is, yeah. It's tough. It is hard to be. It's the hardest part of the job, being away from the family. Probably harder for Joe because I can go home at the weekends and even sometimes during the week. But yeah, yesterday my son rang me. He's only 2.5. He was crying, missing me. So, well, the wife rang me, but give him the phone. that's it. Yeah. So listen, we're all sacrificing, and I think Joe knows. I think that will. Joe knows that, and it'll strengthen his resolve. It'll make him, want it even more, want to win even more. When you sacrifice, it hardens you, makes you tougher, more determined.
Do you talk about home with Joe? Do you two both talk about it, or?
Yeah, little bits, not too much. We know what the job is. We know why we're here. We know the reason why we're here. So the reason justifies all of the sacrifice. And
this is camp number 3 now with Joe Parker, and for the first time you're training for a man not called Derek Chisora. How's it been?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's nice to have a different challenge. But even in between the camps, me and Joe stayed working together, and we're getting to the stage now where I don't even have to tell him his mistakes or things to correct, because he can identify it himself. And Joe's very good. Joe reviews all his sparring, and he can see the changes he needs to make himself within the sparring. So it's half my job done for me. Yeah.
So how much of a better fighter is he since, like, today, as we're talking, compared to when you got hold of him for the first time, heading into Chisora 1?
Listen, the technical and physical improvements are there for people to see themselves. It's hard to judge how much he's improved, but from a mentality point of view and as a person, I'm not even as a person, but I don't know if that's the right word, but I see a fighter who's motivated, a lot more hungry, who has a better understanding. I think the influence of Tyson's been very good to him, very good for him, and yeah, he's a guy he's full of confidence, and I think he realises how good he is and how far he can go now that he's training properly, and yeah, and making these improvements. I think he realises that it's there for him. He's been in touching distance of becoming one of the best heavyweights in the world and becoming a 2-time world champion. So that's motivation for him.
How much of it has been mental in terms of the actual training? How much of it is the pads and everything that you guys are doing in the ring, but the other side of it, going away, talking, you're living together, right? You're in conversation all the time, in dialogue. Are you sort of, how much of it is stuff that we don't see?
That's the biggest part of my job. Even when I work with Tyson or any of my fighters, what you do in the gym is, yeah, it might be different from what they've done before. It might it will improve them, but the mental, like, that's where Emmanuel Stewart, that was his biggest strength, talking to his fighters and instilling confidence and programming the fighters how to think, what to think when they're in the ring. And yeah, it's one of the biggest. It's probably as much as what I do in the gym, but what I do outside the gym is probably equal parts, 50-50. What makes a good coach and what I think makes me a good coach.
You're a young coach in the game as well. Do you feel as though he's bringing you on as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. I think you're always learning anyway. You're always learning, and I think as he improves, I improve. As the fighters improve, I improve. And better ways to communicate certain things. And yeah, that's I think we grow together.
He became a world champion at 24 years old, long before you were coaching him. Speaking to him every day, did that come too early? What do you think?
No, like you only get one chance sometimes, and you got to take it, and he did, and it just shows how good he is, that he could be world champion at 24, and now at 30, probably in the prime of his career, ready to go again, after a lot of lessons learned, which he's talked about himself. So, yeah, I think he's, as I said, he's right there. A good performance over Joe Joyce, cement himself as an elite heavyweight, show people how good he is again, show his class, and yeah, have people excited about him.
Well, that's the big one, isn't it? It is Joe Joyce on 24th September. As I said, you've only trained Joseph Parker so far for Derek Chisora. So how much of a different challenge is Joe Joyce, and what have you had to vary up in camp?
Well, they're both pressure fighters, but obviously the stature of Joyce is completely different. Physical attributes of Joyce are completely different to Chisora. So we're working with taller sparring partners, preparing for taller fighters. We have taller fighters, and it's just not a whole lot different, really. Just certain punches that will work against Joyce, certain moves, but as much as it's about the opponent, it's about Joseph Parker and what he does, and what I want him to do. So you don't really you prepare the opponent for the opponent, but you also prepare the fighter, not just for this fight, but to be a better fighter all around, more complete fighter. So yeah, I want to see the improvements. We're not training just to beat Joyce, we're training to be a better fighter.
Is this your biggest test as a trainer?
Probably, yeah, probably.
There's a rematch clause as well. So if Joe Parker wins, I see you shaking your head as well. I mean, look, most people don't want to fight Joe Joyce once.
Yeah.
If Joe Parker will need to beat Joe Joyce twice to emerge from the whole Joe Joyce chapter of his career. What do you think about that?
I don't know how they agreed to it. It just seems like a crazy arrangement where they're both 1 and 2, and they're fighting each other anyway for an interim belt, and then there's a rematch clause, which just does not make sense to me. You know what I mean? But
hell of a challenge, though. You've got to beat Joe Joyce twice.
Yeah, if you beat him once, you beat him twice. It's the same thing.
I've heard you say it could be an easy fight for Joe Parker. He could make it look easy, a la Calzaghe, Lacey, that kind of thing. Tell me more about that.
Well, Joyce is, I think, well, you watch him from the outside, he seems uncoordinated, quite slow, slow reflexes, but I'm sure when you're in there with him, he does things that are subtle, and that I think there's probably more to him than meets the eye in terms of how he fights. But Joseph Parker is quicker, faster hands, faster feet, better coordinated, probably a bigger puncher, one punch, power puncher, and yeah, if Joe just boxes and executes, be smart, uses his ring generalship as much as his technique and skill, could be an easy fight. Yeah, like in terms of what you like ability wise, they're not in the same league. Joe Joyce, because he's so big, he's bigger and he walks forward and he can take a good punch. They're his best attributes. But you're not talking about his hand speed or his skill or his style or his rhythm, or you're talking about a guy who just uses what he didn't have to work for as his best attributes. You know what I mean? Just he can take a good punch, and he's big, and he walks forward with lots of shots. Got a good engine, like those are the bare minimum like requirements in terms of a fighter. Should be in condition. So Joe's in condition. Joe's a 12-round fighter. Parker, I'm talking about, and if he can keep his composure when he's under fire and execute what he has to do, then it should be a good win for him. I don't see, yeah, Joyce is big and strong, and he'll have moments where he's has success, but Parker just needs, stay with the game plan, stay determined, and get back to his boxing. And it wouldn't surprise me if the fight ends in a knockout for Parker. If he, the way he's punching now, the hand speed, and Joyce has a great chin, yeah. But how many shots can you take? It's like a drop of water on a stone. Eventually, the stone's going to crack.
You said something there. You say as long as he stays determined. Now he's going to be under, we would think, immense pressure from Joe Joyce, based on how we've seen Joe Joyce box in the past. For Joe Parker to be successful, how much of this is going to be mental?
Yeah, so every fight's mental. The training's like what Adam Booth said. The training is 80% physical, 20% mental, but the fight is the reverse. It's 80% mental, and whoever believes in themselves will win the fight. And Joyce can bring pressure, but when you're walking in and getting hit every time you walk in, how much pressure can you truly bring? Like, I don't think Joyce is going to walk through Parker. I don't think he's going to be able to walk forward all the time. He's going to be walking into punches.
Do you think maybe Parker will have to dig deep in this fight?
Yeah, you're always going to have to dig deep. Yeah, dig deep. These are big heavyweights and they fight hard, but Joe's dug deep several times, It's there, it's in the well, like he's been there, he knows what he's made of.
What's the vibe like in the gym then? I mean, from what we see on social media, your posts, Parker's posts, Tyson Fury's posts, it looks like a great gym to be a part of. Yeah,
it's good fun, good atmosphere. But they all work hard, and when the door closes, it's serious business. It's time for work. But it's good, good atmosphere. And yeah, great to have Tyson around for his personality and his wisdom and his encouragement. And yeah, Tyson's been very good to me and Joe, letting us use his gym, letting us use his house, and access to everything else. So we're very fortunate to have Tyson around.
It's a great resource for Joe Parker to be able to tap into, isn't it? The number one heavyweight in the world, just there next to you.
Yeah, has fought Chisora twice, and has sparred with Joyce.
Are they sparring, Parker and Fury?
No.
Not a consideration?
No, I don't let them spar. It's two alpha males in that type of environment. It won't end well. Someone land a good punch, the other one it's not going to end well. So keep them apart.
Just on Tyson Fury, how do you see a fight with Anthony Joshua going if that materialises? Who knows if it's going to? But
yeah, I obviously back Tyson. Tyson kind of has the whole division, the whole world of boxing, under wraps. He's like the puppet master, I call him. He just, plays with their emotions too much. And with Tyson, he'll have them beat before they get in the ring. Mentally, he'll burn them out. He gets under the skin. He knows. Like I said, he's a puppet master. He's a genius when it comes to the psychological side of the game.
So you think he could have Anthony Joshua beaten before he gets in the ring?
Listen, Joshua's a big man, he's a big puncher, he's a big athlete, and I don't want to disrespect him in any way, but Tyson is a different animal. He has all the advantages: size, the skill, the ability, the mentality, the courage. Yeah, and he trains like a demon.
Would Anthony Joshua present a bigger task than Deontay Wilder?
It's it. Who knows? It's not really. Don't know. It's could do, may not. 50-50. Yeah.
And what about Alexander Usyk? He's got the other belts that Tyson Fury doesn't have in the division. How do you see a fight between them two playing out? Obviously, you're going to back your man, but how do you see the actual fight playing out itself?
Tyson too big and too good. A good big man beats a good small man, as they say. And yeah, Tyson has him beaten every department. Anything he can do, Tyson can do in a 6'9" frame. It's only going to go one way, isn't it?
Well, let's bring it back to Joyce Parker. When that first bell rings, September 24th, what's going to happen in there, Andy?
Parker's going to come out, look down, right hand, fight's over.
All right, first round knockout?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Big prediction.
That's what I see happening.
Thanks for your time.
All right, Dev.
Cheers.
Joe Joyce, Joe Parker. Why are these two giants with us here?
Because these two giants are going to fight each other and see who's the best giant.
Listen, I'm very excited to be signing with Boxer and you know, Sky.
You know, Joe Parker's not the ranked #1. He's not the mandatory. Joe Joyce is. This is the Joe Joyce business. You want to get that spot, you've got to beat Joe